Hello, everyone. Welcome to Center of Light. Keith Anthony Blanchard here. Yanava. It's good to see you on this beautiful, I think today is Tuesday. COVID has us all discombobulated, especially me. Doing things a little differently tonight. I want to give you a heads up. If you hear my voice as you do now and it drops out for about 3 seconds, it's something squirrely going on with my technology. So we're just going to keep moving through all that. Let's get right down to some business. I'm going to take care of a couple of bills, if you will, for Center of Light and myself and how I'm able to do what I do ongoingly. And all those who are here at Center of Light, your support is amazing. You are amazing. Together, we're amazingly traversing the wilderness into a better possibility. I appreciate you being here. If you look to my right, I think it's my right. Everything's backwards on this screen. You see my new bestseller, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. The link is in this forum to jump seat to Amazon to make that purchase. Many people have bought this and have some fantastic reviews, but also use that same hyperlink to go to Amazon to leave me a review. And now I'm going to play you something. Let's see. Let me find it. This is something thanks to Robert Harrison. Dear friend, he loves what I do, and I love Robert for just simply loving. Merch to purchase. Check it out. Going to be right back. I'm going to get down with the Center of Light tonight. My guest is Mr. Larry Flaxman. He has a long list in his bio of things he's done, he's doing. He's been on lots of popular TV shows, and he's a dear friend of mine. Dear, I saw him a couple of times, but we connect, so I'll see you shortly. Welcome back to Center Light. Thank you for your gift, support, opportunity, and time. Tonight we're doing things a little different. I spoke with Larry in the radio green room, if you will, for sound check, and he said, let's just keep it no video. Let's just keep it audio. And I kind of like the idea. I've been wanting to lean back into the audio style of radio. There's more mystery. It's really simple. At least for me, it helps me to keen in on more by the listening aspect, using the ears into the heart, than it does to, be distracted by the eyes, which can sometimes be very deceiving. Again, another reminder. Hello, David Harkins. Hello, everyone on the platforms, the social medias. I appreciate you. If my mic drops out for 3 seconds or so, there's a glitch in my system, and there's a glitch in the matrix. Let's get down to some Center of Light beeswax. I did post a link to my guest today, Mr. Larry Flaxman, in the social media platform. So make sure you go walk all over his page and leave one hell of a stinking noise. Let him know you exist. Let me tell you about my guest tonight on Center of Light Radio. And there was that audio glitch. There was that glitch. So I had to cut his bio short because he's got a lot going on. Best-selling author and researcher Larry Flaxman is on a mission to inform, empower, and entertain those fascinated by the paranormal and fringe science. Best-selling author of 9 books. I'm not going to name the 9 books. He's got a lot of in his arsenal. 9 books. Larry Flaxman continues to write groundbreaking books on cutting-edge research that leaves readers, researchers, and reviewers open-mouthed. in disbelief of the truth as it's presented to them. For nearly 2 decades, Flaxman has been actively involved in paranormal research and hands-on field investigation with a strong emphasis on attempting to apply the scientific method unexplained phenomena. Flaxman is redefining the field of paranormal research with his focus on connecting quantum physics, parentheses, especially entanglement and observer effect, to human consciousness via the use of real-time EEG analysis of the experiencer. He is the president and senior researcher of the Arkansas Paranormal and Anomalous Studies team, which has become one of the nation's most respected paranormal research organizations. Finally, widely respected for his advances in the field, Flaxman has appeared on the Discovery Channel's Ghost Lab, as well as the History Channel's popular show, Ancient Aliens, and the History Channel special Expose Time Beings, Extreme Time Travel Conspiracies. Flaxman has appeared on hundreds of radio shows worldwide, including Coast to Coast AM, The Shirley MacLaine Show, The Jeff Rentz Show, X Zone, Taps Family Radio, and Paranormal Podcast. Give me one sec. Everyone, check this out. This is a trailer, the first trailer to a miniseries, I think it's correct, 3 parts that's going to be coming out by Larry, Demystifying Freemasonry. Check it out. My brother, welcome to Center of Light.
Hey, how's it going, Keith?
Things are fantastic. How are things in your neck of the woods in the natural state?
In the natural state, absolutely, doing great, doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you for having me tonight, for sure.
Brother. You've been busy lately since the instead of lockdown or lock-in, let's call it in the land of possibility. You been busy?
I have. So, you know, I have used the last 18 plus months, I guess, to my advantage a little bit. You know, I think I've really, I guess, kind of flourished during that time, and then I've kind of picked up a new hobby, which is my YouTube channel. I've picked up sort of a singular focus of learning all about videography, audio design, you know, lighting. You know, I've been having a really good time since the pandemic started, with trying to figure out, you know, kind of that whole equation to be able to produce decent video. And
if you would, sir, if you would, please give out a link or how they can find you on your YouTube channels. Do they just go to YouTube and look up Larry Flaxman?
Yeah, you can just look up, just type in my name. I've got an official channel. You can go to my website, LarryFlaxman.com. There's links to all my social media platforms, including YouTube.
I take it that you made the trailer yourself.
I did, yeah.
And you know, when you get to know a person, how they wiggle around and what they do, and by their expressions, watching you and everyone, check this out, it's really, really cool. Larry has been doing a lot of spirit box channeling, if you will. I don't mean he's the channel, but he's using the spirit box, this technology that is actually able to pick up voices from the other side, disincarnated spirits. Pretty cool, bro. I've been watching it, enjoying it. So I can tell that you did the trailer just by how things are.
Yeah, great. I appreciate it. Yeah, totally self-taught. I started with really absolutely no knowledge whatsoever about videography and, you know, sound design. And I've taken a bunch of master classes. I've watched a bunch of videos. You know, I've kind of learned a little bit about, you know, how to produce a decent video. You know, obviously I learn every day. But it's been a fun little time learning how to do it. But yeah, totally self-taught on it.
Everyone, Sherry Davenport in the Facebook forum has posted a link to Larry's YouTube channel. Check it out. They're really, really interesting. And there's shorts, which is really, really cool. When I do my stuff, I just get into it and go ahead and lean for an hour, hour and a half. But these are, 10 minutes, 12, give or take, kind of minutes long. So there's enough power and bang in there in one sitting versus having things being, long and drawn out. He goes right into these haunted houses, haunted places. And he and his team, whoever that may consist of, they go in there and they start poking around, and it's pretty fascinating to watch some of this stuff unfold, man. I'm assuming this is also one of your new passions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you ask? What is my new passion, Keith?
Doing the spirit box.
No, I've done that for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. I've been in paranormal for 25 plus years now, and back in the early 2000s, I created a device that I called SIS that is very different than any other spirit box or ghost box technology that's out there. And over the years, I've kind of progressed the technology, and I've experimented with other forms of EVP and ITC research, but the device that I developed and designed, I believe is probably the closest thing that we have at this point to I would say a direct telephone to the dead. And I hate to use that term, but so on my YouTube channel, I have a few videos of the new generation of SIS, but most of the videos that I currently have posted are just kind of more historical. We go to historical locations generally that have some significance, and I'll use different types of ghost boxes just to kind of gauge the efficacy of them. The device that I developed is not really a portable device at this point, so it's not something I can kind of take to different locations yet. I'm sort of working on that, but there is a video on there with that if anybody's interested in seeing it. But no, I've been doing ghost box stuff for a long time. I've only, like I said, since I've been sort of learning about video and video production and YouTube, and I've only started my channel just a few months ago. So only during that time have I really been, focused on any type of videoing of those projects.
So what got you into all this nonsense? Trouble? Meaning, like, growing up, what got you into the world of the strange, the mysterious, the mystical? Was it just a natural, innate curiosity for you, sir?
That's a really great question.
I have my moments.
You do. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, really, there was no defining moment really for me. I think I've always had kind of an interest in the unknown. I've had an interest in things that, would be considered fringe science or fringe topics. Whether it was anything from ancient Egyptology, archaeology, ufology, really any of those ologies I seem to have been sort of drawn to from an early age. And, I guess I would, if I really had to pick kind of a starting point from that, I guess I would say my mom really got me interested in mystery. She was an absolutely avid fiction reader, and she really kind of instilled the love of fiction and mystery in me. And, as I've gotten older, I've started to shift focus a little bit. I still have sort of that same root focus on, the paranormal, and, really anytime you hear the word paranormal, you automatically think ghosts and
Yeah.
spirits and stuff, but it's really not. It's really anything that's outside of the realm of scientific understanding. But I've sort of shifted my focus, I guess, a little bit, in that as I've gotten older, I've seen and experienced a lot of loss, as probably most of us have. And, the realization of my own mortality has sort of accelerated my interest and focus on after death research, and, just to kind of have answers for myself as far as what sort of the next steps are after we shuffle off this mortal coil. So, yeah, it's just an interest I've had forever, but I've sort of kind of laser focused or tailored that interest to more specifically that specific area within the last probably 15 years or so.
Having so many fingers and so many pies, I mean, you're revealing a side to me. I mean, I knew you had lots of things you were into, but all these different levels of Larry, I'm sure there's of course, with all due respect, I'm sure without a doubt, there's a spiritual component there.
Yeah, there has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a fairly religious family. I was raised as a traditional Jew, bar mitzvah and all. And, you know, I have, I would say, probably not embraced my religion since adulthood, probably as strongly as I probably should have. But I did have that strong kind of framework and beginning in the early parts of my life. And, you know, as I've aged, I've sort of kind of picked and chose ideas from different religions and different belief systems and sort of formed my own Larryisms, I guess, or, you know, I don't want to say my own religion because that sounds cultish and weird, but
Bro, I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
this thing with me, the 3 letters under my name, Yanava, it's something that is so a part of me. It's almost, I can't escape. And so it's not like I'm trying to create a religion. In fact, if anything, I'm trying to bring back the oldest one.
Yeah, so you understand. I mean, so yeah, religion, I think, played probably a little bit of a part in sort of my early formative years, but as I've gotten older and I like to think wiser, you know, I've had sort of that opportunity to kind of look around and pick things that really resonated with me, ideas, and sort of form my own belief system around that.
So that you have dabbled and live and express in all these different arenas. When and where, how was it just part of that innate interest, or was there a family member, or with the Freemasonry?
So there kind of a little bit of an interesting, I guess, connection there. My grandfather was a 33rd degree Mason. He was the highest level that you could get, and it was something that I remember him being a part of, but it was not something that I remember him ever really talking about. He never really had any, you know, fantastic stories or, you know, any type of, you know, anything that really just sort of drew me to that. But the Masons and Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism, of which I am a part of, is something that I think I've had an interest in for a long period of time, simply because it's one of those mysterious organizations, right? So any of those mystery things, again, I've been hyper focused and drawn to for a large part of my life, and, you know, being able to have connection with other like-minded folks, I've found that with Rosicrucianism, and I guess that was sort of my entry, was with my grandfather into the whole idea of a secret society, or, you know, a fraternal order. That was really kind of my entry into it.
You think Paul has anything to do with you leaning into the Freemasonry? I mean, I'm sure he's probably not with you anymore. Would that be correct? That you think you somehow being influenced by, well, definitely in the physical way you were influenced, because his life being in the Freemasons was an influence.
Well, it was to an extent, but that was not a path that I chose to follow. I didn't follow the Masonic path. I followed the Rosicrucian path, which there are some pretty significant differences between the two orders. And, you know, Rosicrucianism, or the idea of Rosicrucianism, is really much more science-based, rather than some of the ideas that sort of form Freemasonry or Masonry. So I was naturally drawn to Rosicrucianism simply because it is very focused on science. You know, in fact, some of the, I can't really, there's probably not a lot I can really talk about openly, but some of the initial learning that you do is around electromagnetism. It's around gravity. It's around things that are very scientific in nature, rather than things that, you know, carving stone and carving wood, you know, rather than subjective hands-on like the Masons sort of focus on. This is really much more, you know, mental focused and specifically around science. So I was drawn to that. But, you know, again, because of it being a secret society and being something that the vast majority of people have no connection with, have no knowledge with, and probably never will have the ability to, you know, probably have those opportunities to join one of those organizations or to meet people in it. So yeah, that's why I think I was sort of drawn to Rosicrucianism. At some point, maybe in the future, I may do something on Rosicrucianism, on the whole idea. But it's one of those things that not a lot of people really would understand it, I think. Or they might kind of look at it as, I don't want to say, again, I really don't like the word cult, but I don't want to rush something and have people look at it and think that it's, kind of weird or cultish. But Masonry and Freemasonry is much more in the open than Rosicrucianism. It's much more prevalent. I mean, you can drive any place just about and see someone's license plate on the back of their car with the Masonic symbol, or you'll pass a Masonic lodge, pretty much in every city that you could possibly go to. There's some manner of Freemasonry represented. So it just seemed like that was one of the reasons I wanted to kind of focus on the Masonic beliefs and the Masonic ideas, because it is so prevalent, and it's something that much more people probably have the ability to kind of be around or to have some sort of connection to.
Let me ask you this, sir. As George Carlin would say, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah.
If this knowledge, be it the Masons, Freemasons, or Rosicrucians, is of the light and of the highest good, which I'm not saying it isn't, but right. That being said, is it the reason that it's secret and you're likely not going to know unless you're one of the ones in the big club? Is it because this knowledge, star knowledge, whatever level, kind of knowledge it may be, is such of power that it cannot be put into the hands of those who would wield such things irresponsibly, unconsciously, and turn things to disaster? Would that be a true statement?
I'd like to say yes, Keith, but honestly, the truth of the matter is it's far more, and to a large extent, most fraternal organizations, like the Masons, are much less mysterious than you think they are. Once you kind of dig in, you see these are just ordinary people. They put their pants on the same way as you and I. Their belief system is very similar to ours. In fact, it tracks very closely. So, for instance, I'll give you a great example. So, I was talking to somebody, I guess, a few weeks ago when I was talking about putting together this documentary, just a quick little documentary, and this particular gentleman is a Mason, and I was telling him I just don't know enough about Freemasonry. I'm really fascinated in learning about it, and I'm like, I've heard that they do all these, like, they have these weird, like, religious type ceremonies. And that, they wear all this cool clothes and regalia, and they do some really strange things in these ceremonies, and they speak in Latin, or they speak in, some sort of weird tongue. And, that was my perception, just based on not really being knowledgeable about it, and there not really being a whole lot of information on the internet openly about, what kind of goes on behind closed doors. And he started laughing. He's like, that is the farthest thing from the truth. He said, in fact, their lodge and all Mason lodges they're based on a belief in God, but it's not a religious organization. It's not a religion, and it's absolutely not a substitution for religion. To be a member, for instance, you have to profess your belief in a God. Doesn't matter what God you are. You can be Christian, Jew, Muslim, whoever you believe is the ultimate being. You just have to have a belief in a God, and you have to be of good moral character.
That's a fantastic foundation, that's for sure.
It is.
It is the foundation.
It is. And so, I was kind of under the belief that, well, this is a weird, like, religious thing, but it's not. The fact that they welcome members from all religions into the circle, that tells you a lot right there. First of all, that tells you that it's not a religious cult, that it's not, some sort of weird substitution for that. But with that being said, some of the moral philosophies of Freemasonry are absolutely founded on religious principles. So when we had our tour of the one of the largest Masonic temples, we're walking around and we went into one of the sacred inner sanctum temple pieces parts. And, the very first thing that I beeline to was there was a podium, like a little altar, and beelined right to it. And sure enough, there's a Bible that was on it. So, that kind of raised some questions to me that I had asked about, well, why is there a Bible here? You guys are not supposed to be religious. Well, there's kind of some, there's a little more to it than that. But yeah, so yeah, it is not a religious organization. It's not something that pretends to be, any type of a religious substitution or that there's no like praying. There's that just doesn't happen. I mean, that it's founded on the ideas of religion, which really, if you look at the ideas of religion, some of the basis of religion, at least, is basic. It's all based around being a good person and having that good moral character. And those are the things that they focus on from a religious perspective. But it's not weird. It's not, there's no, sacrificial stuff that's happening. And, those are all kind of myths that I'd sort of hope to debunk with the little mini series that I'm doing.
When is this going to be released, sir?
So the trailer came out last Thursday. The first episode, which is an interview all about Freemasonry with the head guy here in Arkansas from the Scottish Rite Temple, will be this Thursday at 8 p.m. So that's the first part. Then the second part will be an interview as well, talking a little bit more about the history of the temple, talking a little bit about the specific history of this particular location, kind of going into some details about the structure, when it was built, why it was built. And then the third series, or the third and final episode, is the long one, and that'll be out the first week of October. And that is a complete walkthrough of their temple. And this was a large place. I mean, it was 156,000 square feet, I think is what he said.
Wow.
I mean, the place was absolutely massive, and they didn't hold anything back. I told them when I was first starting this project, I asked them, I didn't tell them, I asked them if I could have, completely unfettered access to everything, even things that they would consider to maybe not be public. And they said, absolutely, if it'll help, absolutely. So they let me in to go see parts and areas within that temple that, unless you're an actual Mason, you'll never get to see. So, I wanted to kind of use that as an opportunity for education, and to sort of use that ability to sort of showcase not only the beauty of this fantastically amazing building, but also, kind of, again, demystify it a little bit, just show that there's nothing weird going on. There is some mystery there, but it's not the mystery that you think it is. And, these are places of reverence, and places that you can't help but feel humbled by being in. So yeah, that third and final episode will be the first weekend, or the first Thursday in October at 8 p.m. as well.
Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio. Tuesdays or Thursdays, it's not always consistent. I just need a break from some of the radio. I've been doing it 12 years. But tonight my guest is Mr. Larry Flaxman. We've been speaking about just demystifying Freemasonry. It's a field that I've only dabbled in just a little, not enough to have any ideas or opinions or thought about it. Larry, let me ask you this, sir. Would you consider, I like the idea we look at, they call these lodges temples in one regard. And as you had just mentioned that, from what you're describing what it actually is, it does fit that word model, yeah?
To an extent, absolutely. Yeah, it is a very special place. It is a place where there is where the brotherhood meets, and it's a place certainly where there is ideas exchanged, philosophies exchanged. I would say it. Yes, it would meet certainly the criteria of what people might traditionally consider to be like a religious temple. Kind of going by that definition, but yeah, it absolutely is.
Am I correct to say that they're actually starting to include women in some particular cities and or states or countries, or is that something I mistakenly read?
No, so I think I don't know a whole lot about it, but I do know that there are, um, I don't know what they want to call it, or what they call it. So I don't really, I want to be respectful of that, but there are, um, I don't even, sex is probably not the correct word, but there are offshoots of Masonic stuff that are specifically for females. For instance, the Eastern Star is one that is a Masonic organization specifically for females, but I don't know what they call it. I don't know if they're just considered a part of the Masons or if it's just sort of kind of an offshoot. But there are a variety of different female-based Masonic groups. Yes, the organization that I visited with, the Scottish Rite, does not have that. They are 100% male-based. And I don't believe that they accept membership from females.
I like the name for the women's version of that, if you will, or the offshoot. John Doe wants to join the Masons, the Freemasons, and wants to be in it for the long haul. And it gets to the 33rd degree. Is it how fast you grow that allows you to go through these Mason black belt, these karate
So
belt test, or is it required that you're in there for a certain amount of time, per se,
no,
years?
yeah, so there is not. So in fact, our guide for that evening has progressed very quickly up the ranks. I always thought that it was based on seniority. That was, I guess, sort of a misunderstanding on my part. It seems like most of the higher level degreed Masons seem to be really old people, right? You never really see anybody that are younger that move to be 32nd, 31st, 33rd degree Masons. You just don't see that. So I sort of assumed that it was kind of it was based on seniority like that, but that is absolutely not the case. So it is based on how fast you move up the rank or the hierarchy. It's based on how much you participate, basically.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is there a something or some things that one can do to speed up levels of graduation, so to speak?
I asked that question, and there is and there isn't. So really, it's up to you. So each one of the degrees require um, memorization of specific passages. And from what our guide had told us, the first one and the third one are probably the most difficult. And they require memorization of numerous pages of text, and it has to be verbatim. If you miss a word, that's it, you're done. So depending on how serious you are and how good of a photographic memory, I would say, you are, really kind of sort of sets the cadence for how quickly you can move up. So, it's really you. It's up to you. It's based on your abilities, and these things aren't written down. These are things that you have to kind of ascribe to rote memory. You have to be able to stand in front of a group of men in a darkened room and recite verbatim these specific passages that they require for each of these degrees. And yeah, if you're really good at memorization, you can blast through it pretty quick. If you're older like me and you're starting to kind of forget things, it may be a little bit more difficult. But yeah, it is based on absolutely 100% based on your own abilities, more so than age or length of time within the organization.
If you can just pick an average number that in any particular lodge, how many members would they be in a particular night of gathering?
So I asked that question too, and it really depends on the size. So the particular temple that we went to, is, again, it's the largest one that's here in my state in Arkansas, and they have a pretty large amount of folks. And there's also, within this specific temple, they have meeting areas for lodges across the state too. So there's different orders that all meet within this same temple. So at any one time, I don't want to give you a number because I don't know an exact amount, but
Sure.
there could be 100+ people meeting.
Oh, well, that gives us some kind of idea. And in those, give or take, however many it is, just the group that it is, plus members, how many could possibly be 33rd degree? Is it only one? Is he the top guy or top person and whatever? Or are there a few? And how is that?
So the 33rd degree Mason really is sort of a that's their highest rank. So, we didn't really get into all of the specifics around how to become a 33rd Mason. I know just based on my research that, most Masons to the 32nd degree through their contributions. The 33rd degree is a very kind of special degree that's only given to Masons that have performed very significant services for the organization. So I don't know that I don't know the answer to the question because I don't know what, and it may be sort of based on, each of those specific lodges or organizational units within Freemasonry, but more likely than not, you probably would not, to my thought, have a 33rd degree Mason at, those. You may have one, but, I think more than likely it would be, for the most part, folks that have been doing it for a period of time, 20, 23rd, 30th degree Masons, maybe 32nd degree Masons. I just don't know because I think it's so dependent on each one of those specific lodges.
And Freemasonry, it's really most of it, or at least a huge part of it, is about giving back.
To a large extent, yeah. So Freemasonry it's the oldest and it's the largest fraternal order in the world. It dates back to probably the late 13th, early 14th century, really kind of flourished during the Middle Ages when some of the guilds of Masons traveled throughout Europe building some of the Gothic cathedrals that we still have today. But most people believe that Freemasonry actually began far earlier than that. There are some pretty strong arguments to be made that Freemasons and Masonry actually have strong connections back to the Knights Templar, which dates back hundreds of years prior to that. But the Freemasons, for the most part, they are based around sort of this idea of, well, the operative Masons are sort of based around that whole idea of craft, right? So a Mason, by definition, would be somebody that would have special skill set in stone or wood. They would have some sort of specialization in crafting.
Yeah, it makes sense. Sure.
Right. So I totally went off track. I don't even know what your question was. I'm sorry.
Bro. I leave my body quite often when I do interviews and presentations. We were talking about, I joined you wherever you went.
Yeah.
About them giving back. Is that one of the large parts of the society?
Yeah, I was leading up to that. That is a big part of their charter. I would say that, sort of similar to some other fraternal organizations that focus on things like the Shriners, for instance, which are not Masons, but other fraternal organizations that are similar, they do. Absolutely. That is a big focus. There is for instance, the Masons run a very large hospital outside of Atlanta, Georgia. There's a variety of different things and different charities and organizations that they contribute to as sort of a part of their base belief system. Yeah. Charity is a huge part of that, and community services is obviously a big part of that as well. So you may attend some type of a function in your city or town, and it may be sponsored by the Masons. There may be a large Masonic population that is in attendance, but you'll probably never know. They won't advertise it. They won't have signs up about it. No one's going to be wearing a shirt saying, "Hey, I'm a Mason." It's just part of what they do.
I don't know if I should ask this question, but I'm going to venture anyway. Have there been, or are there, breakaway groups of Masons that have gone so far awry that they're no longer even recognized by the brother groups that they broke away from?
I don't know. Keith, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I mean, that wasn't really a direction that I kind of went down. I would imagine, probably like anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
There are good and bad elements of everything, right? And I hate to, stereotype or label a group good or bad. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine there are offshoots that are probably not well known, probably not well publicized, that sort of have splintered off and sort of formed their own. But yeah, I don't have enough familiarity to really speak intelligently to that, or why they would do that, because the whole idea of Freemasonry is so rooted in architectural design and architectural building. In fact, their symbol is very typical of that. I mean, you can see it in everything Masonic. I mean, their main symbol is the square and the compass. Those are tools of the trade for stonework. So, I don't know. I don't know how you would kind of pervert that into something that would be, completely different. But I'm not saying it doesn't. There isn't any that exist. I'm not that familiar with it.
Sure. Larry, are you working on any books right now? I mean, I know your hands and your life are full. You do a lot of different things, but are you have any wiggle room to sit down and start using the pen or hit the keys?
So I've got a couple of projects that are sort of in development. We're sort of on kind of a holding pattern, but yeah, there's definitely a few. There's actually a book on Freemasonry that we are in the process of kind of outlining. And then there is potentially also a follow-up to one of my previous books, sort of updating it for 2021. My book 1111, we did that, I guess about a year and a half or so ago. We kind of updated it for kind of the modern time. So we're looking at doing the same thing for another book that I wrote called Mind Wars, sort of updating that and kind of applying it to maybe some of the craziness that's happening in the world today, and some of the additional new surveillances that are being proposed and being done by the government.
So being of a spiritual background and having your hands on all that you do and gaining and gleaning this broad knowledge over the years, it turns to wisdom and it fires off the intuition. What do you see happening out in the world? I'm not asking you to label it or subject it, but do you see this as an unfolding, simply hiding in plain sight?
My mom always told me, never talk about religion, never talk about politics. You'll never get any type of consensus or agreement on it. So, honestly, yeah, I don't know, Keith. I don't want to get too political with what's happening in the world, because I do believe that a lot.
Let me ask you this way, my mistake. Let me ask it this way. Do you see that the times we're living in are allowing people to unfold exponentially?
As far as what? Like,
it's just as far as, like you said just a minute ago, some of the chaos that's happening in the world. Like you mentioned also earlier, many people are using this time to go within, to do work, to become, so to speak, Masons in their own right, to use their craft, to build new possibilities, to better the world. So do you see this strangely, ironically, time that we're living in, bringing the best out in people?
That's a deep question.
Both sides of the fence. Some people are locking up and some people are becoming liberated.
That is a super deep question. So I kind of consider myself a unfortunately, a glass half full kind of guy. That's just sort of the way that I am. And I can totally see both sides of the fence here. I do think there are some that are using it as an opportunity to kind of be a little more introspective and kind of like I've done, used it as an opportunity to kind of focus on some personal interests and focus on things that are probably outside of our typical comfort zone. Absolutely, 100% think there are some people that are doing that. I also think there's probably some people that this has impacted in such a way that it has, to an extent, pushed them to a breaking point, unfortunately. And I think there's a lot of folks, things have been rough for a lot of people over the last 18 plus months, right? So, I think we've seen from all spectrums, we've seen, increased suicides. We've seen, people losing their livelihoods. We've seen families being destroyed. So I think there's good and bad. Honestly, I mean, and you kind of have to be a realist about it. You can't always have good without bad, unfortunately. And so, I think you have to kind of look at both sides of that, kind of both pieces of that equation to kind of form your own belief system. I think, again, that I hope, I'll put it that way, not think. I hope that in the next couple of years that our new world, which, I mean, whether you like it or not, we're probably not all going back to 2019. Things are probably never going to go back to the way that they were pre-pandemic.
Totally.
Right. I'm just being realistic with you. So, I think going forward, my hope is that our new world order, and again, that's one of those terms that kind of, is a little bit cringy because it has a lot of different connotations to it. But I think the new world that we're having to live in, I hope that new world is one that will be
of order.
Of order, yeah, absolutely. But one that will provide opportunities and growth and light for people. To bring people out of the darkness that we've all experienced over the last 2+ years. So I don't know. I wish I was psychic. I wish I could, somehow predict what was going to happen over the next, 6 months, 12 months, 36 months, but I can't. I just sort of try to at least remain hopeful that, things will get better.
Have you been doing any public engagements, speaking out, traveling, the little bit of window we had or still somewhat have? If not, do you miss it?
I have, believe it or not. So most of the big paranormal conferences during the pandemic, obviously, were canceled, right? So I missed some really big events because of COVID. Over the last probably 8 months or so, 7 months, things have started to kind of open back up. Smaller attendance, social distancing, a lot of restricted controls in place, but it's been a different experience, but it hasn't affected me that much because there's really, I've sort of cut down my public appearances to really 3 main ones a year. Actually, I'm sorry, 4 main ones a year. And those 4 events that I attend have continued throughout the pandemic. I think the very first year of the pandemic, one of those events was canceled. But yeah, it hasn't affected me that much, thankfully. And in fact, I have a big conference coming up in November. I've got a big conference coming up in February. And obviously with October being Halloween, I've got a lot of stuff planned as well. Again, different, the New World Order, I'm just having to kind of get used to not having the same crowds, not having all the same conferences that we used to, but they're still out there. In fact, Labor Day weekend, one of the conferences that I usually attend and absolutely love is Dragon Con in Atlanta. And it's a huge event. I mean, there's 100,000 plus people that attend this event.
Wow.
And
that's a lot of folks.
It's huge. So it's kind of like Comic-Con. People dress up and they have different tracks. I'm part of usually the science or the paranormal track, but it's a really large event, and so it was canceled last year because of COVID. They did decide this year to go ahead with it, with some pretty strict controls in place around vaccination and around testing prior to entrance and stuff. But I still chose, just my own free will, not to attend this year, not to speak at it, because I just don't at this point feel comfortable being around. Even I think they talked about that they were limiting it to 50% capacity, which still, I mean, you talk about probably 50,000 people. I just still didn't feel comfortable being around that many people. So thankfully it hasn't affected me that much, but I think mentally I'm still not ready for the large conferences that we had like back in 2018, 2019, but it's getting there. I see every day, a new conference popping up someplace. So I think things are starting to return back to normal. I just don't know how long it'll be.
Larry, I enjoyed my time with you, sir. You were correct in the radio green room, which I've already known, but they fly by so fast from the beginning of an interview or hanging out to the very top of the hour. Is there anything you want to leave us with about our topic tonight, demystifying Freemasonry, or anything about what you're doing, or anything you just want to share with the audience about you and where your life is going that our audience can attend to?
I would say I love interacting with my fans and friends, and if you have any interest in science, the paranormal, metaphysics, really anything unusual, please check out my website, check out my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and kind of join us on a journey. I'm very active in social media. I'm becoming more and more active with my YouTube channel. I would love to explore things that you have an interest in, or probably we both have a mutual interest in. But yeah, if you are of like mind, definitely join me on my journey.
Larry, I had a great time with you, sir, as always. Maybe hopefully in the near future that we're going to bump in person at some sort of festival or event that we can maybe have at least some lunch and a coffee, or maybe a beer.
Yeah, I hope so. Even because of COVID, we haven't even been back to Memphis, but I think once maybe. So, we're planning some Memphis trips. I got to return back from my barbecue, so definitely we need to get together.
Man, always stay in touch. Let me know anytime you get something new that you want to express to the world, and I'd be glad to support you in your endeavor and give you all the push I can.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, but blessings to you. Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio. I'm back doing interviews, but I'm taking my time doing interviews. As you know, I am constantly inputting and outputting just almost every night doing these presentations. The next presentation I'm going to do, what do I have titled? Welcome to the Grand Illusion Part 2. Deep inside, we're all the same. Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Light Radio. I love being me. I hope you love being you. It's really all you got. I'll be looking forward to hanging out with you soon. I will see you hopefully tomorrow night. If not, it will be Thursday. Peace, love, and remember, the good you do in the world, the universe will kiss you on your face.